Right now, there is a part of you that already knows when someone is working you. You meet a man for the first time. He is polite. He is charming. The room is comfortable with him. And something in your chest goes quiet and watchful the second he speaks, and you cannot point to a single thing he has said wrong. No one else in the room registers anything. You carry a verdict you cannot defend, and 6 months later, it turns out to have been right. You remember the handshake. You remember knowing. You remember talking yourself out of it. And you remember what it cost. The contract, the friendship, the money that left quietly through a door you held open yourself. It happens every time. The flash of contempt for the colleague who flatters you, the instinct that said not this one before he had earned it. The read you got in 10 seconds and overrode, because a reasonable man does not move on a feeling. You were trained to call that part of you the problem, to suppress it, to be bigger than it. Open up. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Assume good intent. Lower your guard. Stop being so suspicious. A better man wouldn't think that way. You have heard it your whole life, from people who meant well and people who did not, and you were never taught to ask which was which. Never taught to ask the question underneath it all. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Whose benefit? Here is what that training cost you. The part you buried, the suspicious one, the ruthless one, the one that sees the worst in people on contact, is the most accurate threat detection instrument you own. It reads a manipulator beneath language, faster than your reasoning mind. It is not a flaw, it is load-bearing architecture, and you have been living in a house with one of its main supports deliberately cut. The men who outmaneuvered you did not beat your intelligence. They beat the instrument you refused to switch on. Sit with that. So, understand what this video is going to do to you. By the time it ends, you will not see a single person in your life the way you do now. Every trait you were taught to bury, the suspicion, the ruthlessness, the contempt, the cold hunger, is going to be named, and each one revealed as a specific move a manipulator makes on the man who buried it. You will recognize people, the friend, the partner, the man at work. You will see the lever each has been pulling and understand for the first time why it worked. This is not going to make you a worse man. It is going to make you an unreadable one. Hear this as a diagnosis, not a sermon. What follows is not about healing that part of you. It is about taking it off the leash and aiming it at the people counting on it, staying down. And consider the wolf. The wolf reads everything: posture, distance, the half-second a rival hesitates, the scent of something wrong on an animal that looks fine. Now picture a wolf taught to assume good intent. A wolf that gave the strange animal the benefit of the doubt, lowered its guard to seem less paranoid, overrode the instinct, telling it to move because it had no proof yet. That wolf does not live a kinder life. It does not live a longer one. It is dead by the first winter, and nothing in the forest mourns an animal that switched off the one faculty keeping it alive. You were told that faculty was the thing wrong with you. 100 years ago, Carl Jung gave the disowned part of a man a name: the shadow. The word has been laundered since, softened, sold back to you in workshops as your wounded inner child, the part that needs love so you can feel whole. That version is not wrong. It is useless. The wellness translation of a forensic concept, a description of the wound without one word about the weapon. Here is the cold version. Your shadow is the bag you have dragged behind you for 35 years, full of everything you were told a good man does not contain. The cruelty you felt at 11 and were ashamed of. The greed your father shamed out of you. the contempt for the teacher you saw through, the hunger to be the most powerful man in any room. None of it vanished. It went into the bag. The bag is your shadow. And every man you have ever met can feel it on you, because nothing radiates more loudly than a thing a man is using all his strength to hold down. That is the first half. Most channels stop there. Integrate the bag so it stops controlling you, so you can finally feel at peace. Peace is not why you are watching this. The second half, the half they cannot teach, is that the faculty that reads what you carry reads what other men carry in theirs. A man who has looked at his own contempt spots the flatterer's transaction as it opens. A man who has owned his greed reads another man's hidden hunger like a printed page. A man who has stopped pretending he has no shadow becomes the one man a manipulator cannot work. Nothing can be exposed because nothing is hidden. Shadow work, as the wellness industry sells it, is defense. Know your triggers so they cannot be used against you. Fine, that is the flaw. The real return is offense. The same instrument that makes you unreadable makes everyone else legible. Defense stops you being the mark. Offense reads the room before you walk into it. The channels that stop at defense are handing you half a weapon and calling it whole. You came here for the other half. There are 5 disowned traits we are going to name. For each, we will name the exact lever a manipulator pulls on the man who buried it, then show what that same trait, switched on and aimed outward, sees. We will call the disowned region the blind side, because that is what it is. The side of your own field a predator walks into because you refuse to look there yourself. By the end, the blind side becomes the watchtower. And the 5th trait, the one they fight hardest to keep buried, the one entire industries exist to suppress in you, we are saving for last, for a reason. The first trait is the one they taught you to call paranoia. The faculty registers, without language and without evidence, that a man is not what he is presenting. It happens in your jaw. In the half second, your eyes narrow before your mouth produces a polite sentence. In the small, quiet no, your gut delivers 3 seconds into meeting a man who is operating you. You were told by parents who wanted you loved, by teachers who wanted you manageable, by a culture that wanted you frictionless, that this was the problem. Every manipulator who has stood across a table from you has counted on that training. His first move is never the lie. It is to make you ashamed of the read you just got on him. You're being paranoid. That's not fair. After everything I've done, you'd think this of me? Learn the translation. You're being paranoid means stop reading me. That's not fair means it's working. He is not defending himself. He is pulling the lever society installed for him. He does not need to refute your read. He only needs you to refute it yourself. History keeps the receipts on this. Cicero, the greatest orator Rome produced, died with his hands cut off and nailed to the rostrum where he gave his speeches because he could not believe his own political class played by different rules than the ones he wrote about. His suspicion fired repeatedly in his final years, and he overrode it every time, because a statesman gives the benefit of the doubt. The benefit of the doubt killed him. You are the Cicero of your own boardroom, and the men nailing your hands to your own rostrum are doing it slowly enough that you keep telling yourself it isn't happening. Hold that thought. We are coming back for him. Now, set him against Cardinal Richelieu. 17th century France was a court of knives, and Richelieu sat at its center for 18 years and died of natural causes there, a statistical miracle. Everyone was lying until proven otherwise. Every smile was a transaction in progress. He did not call this paranoia, he called it statecraft. A man who waits for evidence of betrayal receives it only after the betrayal is complete. He was called cold. He died in his bed. You were raised on the Cicero model and told it was virtue. You were never shown the Richelieu model because the people raising you needed you to be Cicero. A frictionless Cicero is easier to govern than a Richelieu who reads them back. So here is the move. When the reed fires, you no longer bury it and you do not act on it either. You hold it, silently, an open file, while your face gives him nothing. Then you watch for the repeat. A manipulator always runs his move twice, because it is a system, not an accident. The second occurrence is your confirmation. You said nothing. You changed nothing. And he confirmed your read for you, free of charge. That is the hold. It converts your gut from a shame you bury into a hypothesis he proves. They didn't teach you to trust people. They taught you to distrust the one part of you that was always right about them. The voice in your head just said this is paranoia. Notice who installed that voice. But before we go further, a calibration, because what I have handed you is dangerous, untrained. If you cannot tell the instrument firing from your appetite firing, you will spend a month convicting innocent men and calling it discernment. The distinction is between a gut that reads and a gut that wants. A reading gut is cold. It registers something on a man, files it, and moves on. A wanting gut is hot. It has a stake. It needs the man to be guilty because his guilt makes you the better one, or his fall makes room for you, or his exposure punishes him for something you envy in him. Envy disguises itself as discernment more than any other vice. So does wounded pride. None of that is your shadow scanning. That is your appetite scanning, wearing your shadow's clothes. The test is 2 questions. What do I gain if I am right about him? If the answer is nothing, I just see him more clearly. That is the instrument. If the answer is vindication, his position, the pleasure of his fall, that is appetite. The second question is colder. Would I still believe this if it cost me? A true read survives it. A bitter projection does not. They told you not to trust yourself because they couldn't tell your instinct from your envy. That's their failure, not yours. Learn the difference, and you stop needing their permission to see. The second trait is the one they taught you to call cruelty. You have a capacity for cold, surgical action that you do not let yourself look at. To cut someone off. To deny a request without explaining yourself. To let a man fail when failing is what he has earned. You were taught, somewhere between 7 and 15, that a good man absorbs rather than cuts. That being the bad guy costs more than carrying the situation yourself. The manipulator counts on this exactly. He has measured your absorption capacity and operates 1 notch below it. He knows your line and sits an inch on the right side of it, taking what he can, knowing you will not move on him. Your refusal to be cruel back is what keeps the arrangement profitable for him. Take Marcus Aurelius. The book they sold you says he was a wise, gentle man who counseled patience. It did not tell you he spent his last decade waging brutal campaigns on the Danube, signing orders that ended thousands of lives, knowing that a soft empire is a dead empire. The Stoic was not in contradiction with the war commander. The war commander was the proof of the Stoic. There is a man in your life who needs to be cut, and you have not cut him because you are hoping to find a Marcus Aurelius who never had to make that call. He does not exist. The real one made it. The fake one is the one you were sold. Augustus understood the same arithmetic. He gave Rome 2 centuries of peace, and it cost 20 years of proscriptions and the removal of every rival who could not be co-opted. The long peace everyone remembers was bought with the ruthlessness everyone forgets. You run a small Rome of your own, your work, your home, your circle, and there are men inside it who will dismantle it if you do not act. You will not act because acting feels like cruelty. You will lose the Rome, and the men dismantling it will call you the cruel one for finally moving. The move here is not the cut. It is the test that earns the cut. You set one boundary, once, without explanation. No, that doesn't work for me. And then you do nothing but watch what he does with it. An honest man adjusts to a line. A manipulator renegotiates it, probes it, or punishes you for drawing it. You have not cut anyone. You have made him show you, with his own hands, which one he is. And if the cut comes, it comes clean, evidence-based, and without the 3 rounds of absorption he was counting on. That is the line test. They called it cruelty every time you protected yourself. They called it kindness every time you didn't. Ask who that arrangement was built for. The third trait is the one they trained you to swallow: contempt. You have a faculty that delivers, on contact, a verdict on a man's character. It arrives in the chest as a cold flatness, not anger, not disgust, the absence of being moved by what he is presenting. The salesman at the conference, the friend's husband whose stories are slightly too clean, the colleague who praises you in front of senior staff. Something in you registers that what is shown is not what is felt, and you swallow it. You correct your face, you smile, because you were taught that contempt is the small man's emotion. Every flatterer alive assumes you will swallow that contempt. He is not trying to convince you he is sincere. He is trying to make you ashamed of seeing through him. So, learn this dictionary too. You're so good at this means I need something this week. I tell everyone about you means you are currency. The most underrated man here means the hook is set. Once ashamed of the read, you will work on his behalf to talk yourself out of it. The contempt was the alarm. You silenced it because you did not want to be a man who had alarms. He walked through the unalarmed door. Diogenes built an entire life on this. He lived in a barrel in Athens, and when Alexander the Great asked what he could do for him, Diogenes told him to step aside. He was blocking the sun. Not rudeness, the refusal of respect he did not feel. The Athenians found him difficult. They also could not manipulate him, because no part of his presentation required their approval. The contempt was the wall. The wall was the freedom. Every man you envy for his freedom built that wall, and you have not, because you were told it makes you a worse person. Michelangelo ran the same wall. He worked for popes and Medicis men who could end his career with a sentence, and treated nearly all of them with barely disguised contempt. The work survived because it was uncontaminated by the management. The patrons did not shape the Sistine ceiling. He did. The contempt was operational. There is work in your life being slowly managed away from you by people whose approval you still seek, because you have not given yourself permission to feel the contempt you actually feel for them. The move. When flattery arrives, do not return it. No reciprocal compliment, no warmth back, polite neutrality, nothing more. Then watch. A sincere man notices nothing, because he wanted nothing. A flatterer escalates, or surfaces the ask early, because flattery is the opening bid of a transaction, and the transaction has stalled. Your withheld warmth just forced his hand weeks ahead of his schedule. That is the withheld return, and it turns his charm into a confession. And this is the place to ask the question that runs underneath this entire video. Who benefits? Who benefits from a generation of men trained out of their own contempt? Not you. You have paid the tariff on this arrangement your whole life. The people who benefit are the ones whose operating model requires you to override your own accurate read of them. You were not raised generous. You were raised disarmed. The generosity was the costume the disarmament was wearing. You were not raised to be polite. You were raised to be edible. A man sits across a table from you. The deal is between you. He says nothing. He lets the silence run a beat past comfortable, then 2, then 3, and you feel the pressure build in your chest to fill it, and you fill it. And in the filling you tell him what you want, how much, and what you will give up to get it. He has not made a single move. You have handed him the map. That pressure, the thing that could not bear the silence, is the fourth trait, the one they taught you to call greed. You want things, money, standing, a woman who turns heads, a position other men have to acknowledge. In public, you say none of this. The naked want has been pushed underground, and you tell yourself you have transcended it. You have not. You have buried it. And what is buried in a man, every other man in the room can smell. The manipulator who has mapped your hidden hunger is the most dangerous one you will meet, because he knows what to dangle and what to withhold. He has watched the involuntary shifts in your face, the promotion you pretended not to care about, the recognition never granted. He knows you cannot bargain over what you have not admitted to wanting, and he is offering it, just out of reach. And you are reaching, and the reaching is the leash. John D. Rockefeller made the silence famous. He hid his hunger only from competitors, never from himself. In negotiations, he would say nothing. Simply sit, let the other man fill the silence and reveal what he wanted. His edge was not intelligence. His edge was that he had owned his own wanting, and they had not, so he could read theirs, and they could not read his. Julius Caesar read hunger for a living. He owned his ambition plainly to himself while managing it in public, and mapped the wants of the men around him, Crassus's want for glory, Pompey's for legitimacy, playing each precisely. The men who eventually killed him did so because they read his hunger, and he, by then, had stopped reading theirs. The instrument can rust. The men in your life right now are reading what you want and pretending they are not. So read them back. The move is the dangle map, and it runs in both directions off the same conversation. Whatever a man dangles at you is a report on how he has read you. Every offer he makes tells you what he believes you want, which tells you what he has been watching, and the want he conspicuously never mentions is the one he wants most. Men hide their real hunger by talking around it. Sit in the Rockefeller silence, let him fill it, and map what comes out. He thinks he is negotiating. He is dictating his file to you. And when he attaches a clock to the dangle, this expires. Others are waiting. I need an answer today, you say, one sentence. I make decisions on my timeline, not yours. Then stop talking. Watch how flexible the deadline becomes. They told you wanting more was greed. The men who told you that already had theirs. Now do something. In the comments, in 3 words or fewer, name the trait you buried hardest, the one you would be most embarrassed to be caught having. Then name the man who has been operating in that blind side for the last year. Not by name. My business partner, my father-in-law, my oldest friend. That is enough. Filing him in public closes a loop left open for years. You have known. You have always known. You just stopped pretending. And as you write it, hear the line that closes the loop, the one you will keep. What my gut convicts in a man, I will not acquit. Say it once, silently, while you type. Now the one we saved. The one entire industries exist to suppress in you the trait they taught you to call instability. You have a capacity for rage that you do not let yourself near. Not anger. Anger is permitted in small, well-bordered doses. Rage. The cold, structural rage of a man who has been wronged and not allowed to act on it. It sits in your chest at 3 in the morning. It moves when a particular man is mentioned in a particular tone. You were taught that this rage is proof of something broken, that if you feel it, you need help. Medication, therapy, management. The men who taught you this were not worried about your well-being. A man whose rage is operational cannot be ruled. He cannot be quietly extracted from, because the cost is too high. Your rage, integrated, is the price tag on your participation. Your rage, suppressed, is the reason you have been a discount item your whole adult life. The oldest poem in the Western canon knew this. The Iliad is not fundamentally a war epic. It is a study of rage. Its first word, in the Greek, is menis. Wrath, the wrath of Achilles, withdrawn, costs the Greeks the war. Owned and aimed, it ends the war. A withdrawn rage is a defeat. An aimed rage is a weapon. There is no third option. The men telling you to manage your anger are reading you the Achilles story with the wrath edited out, and that version is unrecognizable because the wrath is the whole point. And then there is Caravaggio, the painter whose visual language is this channel's, the fire-lit faces, the predator stillness. He killed a man in Rome and spent the rest of his life on the run. The rage was not separate from the work. The rage was in the work. The cold attention to threat in his figures came from a man who lived near violence and did not pretend otherwise. Strip the rage out of Caravaggio and you do not get a more decent painter. You get no painter at all. You were told the rage in you is keeping you from being whole. The rage in you is keeping you alive. It is the proof that something in you still knows the score. The day you stop feeling it is the day the extraction is complete. And the move is this: you never perform it. You let it inform exactly one thing: the price of crossing you expressed as calm, unexplained finality when you say no, no raised voice, no speech. Just a no with a flaw under it that other men can feel and cannot name. That is the carried cost. A manipulator prices every man in the room before he moves, and the man whose no costs nothing gets worked first. Your carried rage reprices you and the predators, who are better at reading price tags than anyone, quietly move on to cheaper men. They didn't medicate your rage because it was dangerous to you. They medicated it because it was dangerous to them. Now we put the 5 traits together. They were buried, one at a time, by separate adults across separate decades, but they were never meant to live separately. They are a single instrument. The suspicion is the radar. The ruthlessness is the actuator, the part that moves on what the radar shows. The contempt is the verdict mechanism, the final read on a man's character, delivered without his permission. The hunger is the scanner that reads what men want by what they pretend not to. The rage is the structural pressure, the part that makes you uncuttable, because cutting you now costs more than the man on the other side will pay. Together, they are one apparatus, the one wealthy and powerful men have run for as long as wealth and power have existed. You were born with it. You spent 35 years sanding it down because you were told its parts were defects, and the men running the same apparatus, unsanded, spent those years walking past you and taking what they wanted. Switch it on. The suspicion first. The hold the red fires, you file it, and you let his repeat confirm it. The ruthlessness next. The line test, one boundary, no explanation, and watch what he does with it. The contempt next. The withheld return, flattery gets neutrality, and the transaction surfaces itself. The hunger next. The dangle map. Every offer he makes is his report on you, and the want he never mentions is the one that runs him. The rage last, because the rage makes the other four uncuttable. The carried cost the floor under your know that other men can feel and cannot name. 5 moves, 1 apparatus. You do not perform any of it. You run it. This is the integrated shadow. This is what the wellness industry could not sell you. The costume of integration without the function. This is the function. At the start of this video, I showed you a wolf and what happens to the one that switches its instrument off. The wolf reads everything. Now, so do you. A second commitment. The next time you feel the shame flinch, the small internal apology for having read a man correctly, name it in the comments. I felt the flinch. I did not flinch back this time. You are not telling me. You are telling yourself, in writing, where you cannot later pretend you did not say it. The flinch is the residue of the training. Naming it kills it slowly. And the line is the same. The line you say, silently, every time the instrument fires and the trained voice tells you to override. What my gut convicts in a man, I will not acquit. Now the thing this video has been earning since its first sentence. You can only be manipulated through the parts of yourself you refuse to look at. Every successful manipulation in history has used a blind side that was already there. The manipulator did not create it, he found it. The burial was the address he drove to. A man with no disowned shadow has no handle. There is nowhere for the lever to fit, because every part of him is already in his own hand. The smile cannot land, he has smiled like that himself. The flattery cannot land, he has faced the part of him that wanted it, and the wanting is no longer hot. And here is the part that closes everything. The same faculty that makes you unreadable opens the read going the other way. The trait you have looked at in yourself is the trait you can see in another man. The trait you refuse to look at is the trait you cannot see coming. You can only read in another man what you have stopped refusing to see in yourself. This is the master key. This is what every other Jung video gets wrong, selling wholeness instead of vision. The integration is not the goal. The vision is the goal. The integration is the price you pay for the vision. Sit with that. No one has ever said it to you straight. Picture the manipulator's defeat. Not as an idea, as a scene. He sits across from you. Same chair, same smile, same opening move that has worked for years. He delivers the flattery. It lands on nothing. He tries the small guilt after everything I've done and watches it slide off without a mark. And then you see it, the half-second flicker, the recalculation, the first genuine expression he has shown you in years. Confusion. He is not defeated because you fought him. He is defeated because you became unreadable to him while he stayed fully legible to you. He cannot find the door he is used to finding because you stopped painting it. He is performing for an empty house. You are reading him from outside it. This is the cold Jung the workshops cannot sell, because what makes it work is what they spent 40 years training out of men. You were not broken. You were trained to disable the instrument that was going to save you. And the men who trained you had, in many cases, disabled their own and could not bear the sight of a man who had not. You are going to switch yours back on. You are going to look, without flinching, at the parts of yourself you have spent decades hiding from, not to heal them, to use them. The suspicion, the ruthlessness, the contempt, the hunger, the rage. Off the leash, pointed outward, and the men who have been operating in your blind side are going to feel the lights come on. This is the cold awakening Jung was actually writing about. Not peace, not wholeness, sight. If you have made it this far, you are no longer the man who walked into this video. The trained voice that says, "You're being unfair," will still speak. It is just no longer the voice you obey. The voice you obey now is the one that has been right about every snake in your life and was never listened to once. In the comments, leave the line, just the line, so the men reading after you see it too. What my gut convicts in a man, I will not acquit. The line is yours now. Use it when the flinch comes. If this work is what you came for, you know what to do. Subscribe. The men who switched the instrument back on are already here. If the law of distance taught you what to withhold, this video taught you what to switch on. Two halves of the same architecture. And if what you just heard, the shadow laundered into a wellness concept, tells you something about how the originals get sold back to you, watch this next. Real Stoicism. The 8 rules they watered down to control you. The same hands that buried the apparatus you were just handed did the same job on the doctrine men governed themselves with. Same trainers, different theft. The link is on the screen. This is your cold awakening.